As the candidates are getting ready to take to the debate stage in South Carolina, their campaigns are starting to focus on Super Tuesday states. 14 states will hold nominating contests, as well as American Samoa and Democrats abroad. More than 1,300 delegates are set to be awarded. That's 34%. Two of the largest Super Tuesday states are California and Texas. And what do you know? We have CBS News 2020 campaign reporters in those two states. So let's go ahead and bring in Musadiq Bidar and Adam Brewster. Musadiq is in San Francisco. Adam is in Houston. And they were also both based in Iowa for most of the past year. Moose, today is the last day to request a vote by mail ballot in California. Why is vote by mail so important in this cycle?
Well, California largely relies on a vote-by-mail system. There are about 20 million registered voters in the state, and this year more than 16 million ballots were mailed in. Of those, about 7 million were mailed to Democrats. So far, only about 12% have returned their ballots. That means some of these voters are taking a wait-and-see approach. They are curious how the candidates are going to do in some of these other early states before they come to California. But the one group political operatives here tell me will make a potential difference on primary day and during these vote by mail process is no party preference voters. They make up about 25% of eligible voters in this state. They are the largest growing voting group, and they tend to lean towards Democrats. In the past, they've stayed home during the primaries and have turned out during the general election. But this year, some candidates feel that they can bring out these voters. Senator Sanders' campaign has focused heavily on targeting these voters. I just got off the phone with Senator Sanders' California state director, who told me they are spending precious resources reaching out and engaging with these voters because while they can participate in the Democratic primary, they specifically have to request for a Democratic ballot. And that's something that the Sanders campaign is trying to educate and communicate with these voters, including the senator himself and top surrogate Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez recording videos telling these voters to participate. So the Sanders campaign feels that they are confident that they can bring new voters into this process, and that's something that could potentially make a big difference on primary day.
Sure, and while the wind is at his back, we know that things can change in an instant. So, of course, they're going to want to lock in all of those voters that they can right now. I'll go next to you, Adam. By the way, both of you guys look so much warmer now since the last time I saw you in Iowa. Adam, you're there in Texas, the second largest Super Tuesday state. What are you hearing from the campaigns about the state of the race there?
Well, there will be 228 pledged delegates at stake here next Tuesday. Voting will be wrapping up just around this time, a week from now here in Texas. A couple of the candidates are going to be making trips to Texas this week. Senator Warren and former South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg have visits lined up later this week. And you're starting to see campaigns turn their attention to some of these larger states where, they've had to build out operations. Earlier today, former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg's campaign held a call about the state of the race in Texas, and they touted the size of their operation here. They have more than 180 staffers, 19 offices in Texas. It is a operation from a boots on the ground perspective that is unrivaled in terms of just the numbers of people who are involved. And they believe that's going to help them and be able to make the difference. Texas awards delegates across the state and by Senate district. And in some of these Senate districts who may get less attention, they think having organizers in some of those places could put them over that 15% threshold that they need in order to win delegates there. We've seen some recent polling showing former Vice President Joe Biden no longer holding his lead in Texas. Senator Sanders has been essentially tied or leading him in polls in Texas recently. Mr. Biden has a long list of endorsers here, including many members of the Democratic congressional delegation from Texas. Senator Sanders was here over the weekend. He has a large network of volunteers, a huge base of support that remains from 2016. Senator Warren built out a team here early and has a few dozen people spread around the state. And then you have to look at campaigns like the Buttigieg campaign and the Klobuchar campaign, who have had to send staffers here following the early states in Iowa and New Hampshire, and just start to be able to put their own paid staff on the ground here as Super Tuesday looms.
Obviously, trajectory matters, but fundamentally it all comes down to that debate math, and those are two big old states. Musadiq Bidar and Adam Brewster, thank you both.